All right, so this is going to be a very interesting version of ShemiraNotShemyra tonight, whatever you're listening. I have a couple of my family members in here, and there's alcohol involved, so I have no idea what is about to come out of any of our mouths. So let me just start with that and say I'm sorry if you get offended, but not really, because if you're listening, you already know that I talk shit, so we're good. There are a bunch of people in the room. I'll let everybody kind of introduce themselves. But one thing that I do want to say, I don't give a shit about cussing. If you talk, obviously, if you talk about any personal relationships that you have with someone, whether it was in the past or in the future, if you're speaking good on them, you can say whatever you want. Pick their names. If you are speaking not so friendly, yeah, I'm going to just, need you to leave that name out because I don't need them suing me when I get popular. But we're going to start with, we have a couple people on the mic. So we'll start with the people on the mic and then introduce my family that's not on the mic so that when you hear people jumping in and out, you get an idea of who's saying it. So we'll start from my right and go with my cousin Car. Go ahead, yay.
I'm Car. Yay.
Hi, Car. Who are you? What do? You just got a special award at a special place. Like, you got some things to brag about.
Hey, I'm Shemira's cousin, Car. I recently got married. My husband's next to me.
What up?
The award that Shemira's talking about is I got an award from the Clippers for teacher appreciation. So that's awesome because it means I'm doing very well.
Yes.
Yeah.
We need good teachers.
Yes.
We need good teachers. All right, next.
What up? I'm the husband. No, my name is VJ.
Watch out.
And so Shemira is my cousin-in-law at this point.
In-law? We don't even say that.
I've never heard of that.
Don't know what that is.
Politically correctness. I'm also a teacher, but I didn't get an award, so I'm still working on that part, but I'm happy to be here.
And other things.
Yeah. I do some other things as well.
There we go.
We'll get to that later.
Right, good. All right, I'm Dewana. I am Shemira's cousin. I'm awesome. I do physical therapy.
Yes, I love that. I am awesome.
That's right. That's what I do. And this is my first podcast, so I'm excited.
Yay!
I can't believe it. I am actually drinking for the first time ever.
I know!
My family.
You have no idea how proud we are in this moment. No idea.
Family is like crazy, so I realize I have to kind of keep up.
Wow. Hey, we can edit that.
I wasn't expecting that one.
Okay, we're gonna
No,
go on
we
that
ain't.
later. We're gonna go on that later.
Nobody knew
No
that.
names. No names.
She's Dewana and she's drinking. You heard that.
Oh, Brooklyn's in there right now.
Hi,
Brooklyn just found
Brooklyn is definitely in the
out.
chat.
Her mom is drinking.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm up now?
Yeah, that's
I'm
you.
Johnny and I'm a Scorpio. That's all I have to say.
He likes long walks in the park.
Johnny had the R&B.
And he is not available.
Album coming out December 3rd.
I guess I'm a cousin Antoine or Anton to Shemira.
I'm the only one. First of all, let me just say.
Album is out October 20th.
Absolutely. Album's out. Talk about that.
Oh well, I go by Creative Live Biz as my stage name. I do music, audio engineering, producing, a bit of everything, songwriting. So yeah, I'm playing the guitar. Yeah. So
Yes.
now, and I'm getting ready. I'm learning the bass guitar and all that.
Aw,
So
shucks.
I'm trying to learn every instrument before I get out of here.
The new Prince. Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. I ain't trying to. Yeah, let's not. Prince is the great. Yeah, he's a great. Yeah, let me back up a little bit. You know.
Reel it in a little bit. Don't go too crazy too
Yeah,
soon.
you know.
So the reason he mentions
Prince
his
played the
name,
harp.
yeah, he was dope.
Yeah.
The reason he mentions his name is because he introduced himself to me as Anton. So that's all I've been calling him. And I've been told multiple times that I was saying his name incorrectly. And everybody in this room just found out for all of these years they've been calling him the wrong name, and I got it right. So, anybody who decides anybody that wants to date me in the future, just know I'm always right. All right? All right. I know y'all ain't on the mic, but we can hear y'all.
Hi, I'm I'm Tiffany, not Stephanie.
She's been going through that her whole life.
The kids call you Stephanie.
Right?
Stephanie.
Stiffy.
Stiffy.
That's
I'm
funny.
Shemira's cousin. I work in the exciting world of insurance, as you can tell by my voice. And I'm a full-time mommy.
Yeah.
To two unofficial twins.
That's right. Yes.
All right, I'm Tim. I'm a retired business owner, always looking for an opportunity to try something different.
And I'm gonna need everybody to turn their
Investment
phones on
man right
vibrate,
there.
including me. Oops.
That was a
Great
ninja
reminder.
ring.
Great reminder.
Mine's already on
I have a
silent.
little bit more, but that's okay.
Go ahead, Tim.
No, I'm done.
Tim. All right.
My motivation's gone now.
Bring it back.
Oh, is that easy?
We're gonna blame your unofficial girl on that. It was her fault. She got us distracted. Yeah, we're gonna rewind that.
Because
So,
Tim, you're
we didn't-
calling
I
me. Tim, you're calling me.
That's why her
That's
phone rang.
why, right?
They got
Yes.
her on speed dial.
Right.
Tim got the one on speed dial.
Tim's phone said, "Dewana, you're the one."
No,
All right,
No, his key word was opportunities.
so I'm gonna need you to introduce yourself again because I didn't hear anything. I don't know who you are. You know,
I'm
well, let's
Tim.
start.
I'm Jawana's friend. I've been knowing her, what is it, 4 years now?
Almost, yeah.
Almost 4 years?
Wow.
3 years and change?
Wow.
We stay in touch.
Yeah.
But
4 years.
my name's Tim, but I go by Chris because I have a brother named Tim as well.
Wow.
So what's
It's a
you got the
crazy
family of Georges in your house?
Yeah.
Got it.
Wait, you go by Chris?
Not to me,
Yeah.
not to me, not to us.
Not to you guys. But
Oh.
everybody else knows my
So we're all reintroducing ourselves.
Wait, does anybody else have a
My
real
name is
name we don't know about?
My real name is Dave.
You go by Dave.
Hey, what's your name?
Money in the middle.
In the middle. It's on you, Damon.
Damon, he's still going. He's still going.
I'm sorry. I'm just a guy that live in the valley with my spouse and my crazy daughter. My dogs.
Let me make that clear.
In another world. But yeah, everything's good.
Yay.
Glad to be here with fam.
Yes.
Tiffany over there in the corner.
Stiffy!
And even.
And Antoine.
Yes.
My name is Brittany. I'm Shemira's cousin, and Damon and Monica's daughter, and Antoine's girlfriend. Any other surname that you want to put me under? I am.
BTB.
Thanks for that. I am a artist. You know,
Yes.
many jobs, but I'm always an artist.
Singer,
Yes.
dancer.
I'm not a singer. I've not lived with my parents now for almost 4 years.
Yay! Look, the parents are like, yes!
I'm not opposed to still going there to watch, but you know, I lived there 4 years. So let's leave it at that.
You only been 4
And
years?
yes, 4 years.
Listen, enjoy.
I'm gonna move on up to better things as my life evolves. So.
As all of our life evolves,
Right.
I don't think any of
Gotta
us
get
are
that
where
house.
we want to be
Right,
yet. We're just
exactly.
in the process.
Exactly.
Hi.
Since Tiffany.
Oh,
Deep
now
breath.
Hey,
Hi, Monica.
some insurance schemes.
I'm Shemira's mom's favorite.
As she looks directly at Dewana.
Right?
Wow.
Wow.
I wonder where Kai got it from.
Right? A lot of new revelations tonight.
Jeez.
This truth serum is working.
I am a parent and a wife and
Get your bars off. Stop
and
bragging.
the
Ma'am.
planner and the yeller and
Yeah.
the manager
And the referee.
For real.
Yes,
And the
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 referee.
referee, for sure. The person that I call at the most random times to have 2-hour talks to keep me motivated. So yeah,
Yes.
the fixer.
Yes.
Yeah, she got a pep talk for you.
Yes, for
Oh,
sure.
wait.
I'm gonna sit
Doc
back in the
Davis.
cut till I need to comment.
She purposely sat away from the mic. Y'all can hear me. So I figured we talk about family, and you know that can range from a lot of things. Having kids, some people in the room are married. Some people have been married and let it go. Some of us don't want to get married. There's lots of things, ways that this can turn into. So I figured we just start with that, and wherever the talk goes is where the talk goes, which is usually what happens when we all get together. Like I don't know how this happens. 2 hours later, it's like when you're on YouTube. And you start one video, and the next thing you know, you're like building a house 3 hours later. That's kind of how this is going to turn, and I'm good with that. So let's start with the newest married people in the room. And I would love for you to tell me, just thinking about where you are now with your marriage, is it everything that you expected past the wedding? Are you still like, this is newlyweds, this is great? Like, how are you feeling? And don't look at me like that.
Spot now.
Nobody could prepare me for this.
Where your PR at, BJ? Your PR.
You
get the memo.
No, but we've been married, or we've been together for
Yeah.
4 years.
There's a lot of fours going on. Is there something? There's some like symbolic things with fours. You guys notice how many times we mentioned fours? Just to throw that out there.
I don't know.
Weird.
Someone look it up.
Right.
But we've been married, or I keep saying married. We've been together for 4 years. We have twin daughters. So, like, people keep asking, oh, like, do you feel different? Like, nah.
Right.
Because our house still looks the same. We still have the same job. Like, we got a couple of new appliances I was really looking forward to. But like, in some aspects, no. But we're still in honeymoon phase, and
Yeah, no,
it's all fun and cute when you just think about our wedding, which was awesome. So
that just happened, but it's just barely over a month old.
It was lit.
Yeah. What a month, and we're about a month and 10 days out or something like that. Yeah.
I mean, it does feel, it doesn't feel different in the sense of our relationship per se, but it does feel more official, I guess, in that aspect. So that's pretty cool. And, we get to kind of celebrate from here on out. Somebody addressed Cara as my wife. And I was like, dang, wife, like, that's real. So
all your no's turn into yeses.
Facts.
You can't just say no more.
Right. Well, shoot, dealing with Cara, I was always saying yes in the first place.
He didn't need no paper for that.
Right.
He needed no extra signatures for that.
Other official things, I need to start looking back at my student loans, and then one of the questions, like, are you married? I was just like, that whole changed the whole, like, paying back situation.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, let me do this now, and I'll wait till next year when the taxes come around to actually change.
When I answered this question, I was telling the truth. I was not married at the time of this application.
Right.
Just saying.
I mean, it's crazy because me and Cara have talked about, like, just the idea of marriage prior to us getting married, and we always said, like, especially with having twins who are 3 years old, it was like, it felt like having kids was actually easier than getting to the married stage.
Mm-hmm.
And that was kind of, weird because you always hear like, oh, you got to get married first. You got to do this and that. And it's like, well, shoot, we got kids. It's easy to love our children, but like you got to really work to love your spouse and actually be like committed, or, like for real. So we really had to make sure that we were ready to actually dive in and make it happen, make it official. And, once it came to that time, we knew like it was the perfect time. So
you can handle it.
But you guys have been roommates for like how many years?
Oh, yeah.
Y'all started as roommates.
Yeah. No, other than my family, VJ's the only other person I live with.
That's crazy.
Yeah. But you guys like started platonically as roommates, and then it turned into something else.
Teammates, friends, and
we lived with other people. And,
yeah.
So. All right, so we got 2 other people that's been married in the room a little bit longer. So what can you talk about when it comes to marriage? Like, what should we look for? Because it's not just about relationships.
To remember about marriage. You
Marriage.
don't always like each other. You love each other all the time. But there are times where he will just look at me and go, I don't like you. And it's okay.
Yes.
probably don't like him in that
Right.
way either. But you
Yes.
have to be able to say that to
Still
each
kiss
other.
her at the same time. I don't like your ass. Me
I don't like you, but you know
Right. I work with these older generation people, and the advice they gave me, they said, Tawana,
people.
very seasoned. They're like in their 90s, but they've been married like 70 years, right?
Yikes.
Crazy, right? And one of the guys, I said, how do you do it? And he goes, don't give up at the same time.
Yes.
I went, that's
Oh, like
powerful.
tagging?
No,
Like, it's not
Powerful.
like
No
that.
joke.
Right?
So the
That's
last
big.
relationship that I was in, I told her, I said, I think what I'm realizing in this relationship, what I wish I would have learned in my last relationship is we were always stopping and going. So when I finally was like, okay, cool, you know what, maybe I should work on it. At that point, he was like, I'm over this shit. And then when he's like, okay, I'll give it a try, I'm like, I don't have time for this. Like, I realized that was a huge hindrance.
Right.
And we had to be on the same page. So that's something that I try and keep in my memory to know for the next time to fix. Because I'm always trying to look at what I can do differently in my relationship. Because I can't change anybody else or control what anybody else does. But I realize that I'm starting to attract the same type of people. So how do I get around that? How do I change it? How do I, realize when I'm going towards someone that has the same characteristics, run.
Yes, right?
Run.
But that's hard because that's your magnet, right? We
Yeah.
attract this, right?
Yeah.
We attract what we are.
Yeah.
Even though we go, I don't want that, but it's like what you see is what you are.
Yeah.
You're projecting, your reality. So we got to,
Very
like you
true.
said, check this.
Yeah.
Dodge it.
Right?
Yeah. It's for sure. Dodge it
Or
all.
dodge it, right?
Dodge
But
things.
you only dodge for so long. Then it like keeps catching
But
up
you
to
dodge the things that you need to.
Right.
So I know, Tiffy, me and you are like in the sense that marriage really isn't our thing. But I'm a relationship person. Like, as her boyfriend sits on the side of me. Are you on board with that?
No, I'm cool with that.
Okay, cool. So
That was
what-
actually one of our first conversations. We talked about that.
Tell me how that went.
Not
Because
getting
I was just here to ask, like, how did
I
that?
know, right?
How did
sorry?
that go?
First conversation?
It was one of our early conversations. It was.
And that matters. Like, how did that even come up? How did you guys talk about that? And what made you both feel that way?
I don't know how we got to that point in the conversation, but it was just a mutual thing, and I think we agreed upon it up until this point. So
Why do you both feel that marriage isn't for you?
it's not necessarily that it isn't for me. It's not a priority to either one of us. We've both seen the ups and downs of relationships that we've been in and other people's relationships. So it's not something that is a priority to either one of us. We have things that are more important that we'd rather get to first than
Got
that.
it.
So if that happens eventually, like traveling and buying property, career, establishing ourselves, making sure our girls are always happy and healthy, that type of thing. So, yeah.
Tiffy, we see you.
Is it harder?
Right?
Is it harder or easier
So many.
to buy property?
What's your
When
reason
you're
for not
married?
wanting to be married?
Before
That's a
I
good
met
question.
Johnny, I was completely against marriage. Like I was very vocal about how my negative view about marriage. I thought people who got married were stupid.
Damn.
And even now, I felt
Thank
like,
you.
Right.
No. But let me just. This is coming from my sister, a daughter of our parents who've been married for 35
40
years.
Right.
They're about to be on their 40th anniversary,
40,
I thought.
almost 40.
I'm sorry, 40
Yeah.
years.
40 years.
Yeah.
Tiffany just said there's a lot of
So-
dumb people in this
But
room.
right, but
She
doesn't mean that there's nothing to learn from someone who's been married for that long either. Because
Yeah.
we saw the thick of things.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's the thing. Like, you can even if your family or your parents are still together, you can see the ups and the downs, and
Sure.
the downs might outweigh the ups. And at that point, you might be like, yeah, fuck this. I don't
Which is
wanna
what
do
I'm
this.
curious, like, why did you see?
Okay.
Well,
Yeah.
Why'd you say that?
I just thought of it like, most marriages end in divorce. And I said, would you get on a plane that was only functioning 40% of the time?
Ooh.
That's what marriage
That's
is.
bars.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Finger
But it's
snaps.
true though. Like
But-
that's
But
Yeah.
luckily, planes don't have that
They-
percentage.
They also,
That was the
Those
analogy
are
that
the
just
stats,
put
but you don't know the
everybody
story.
like in a place.
You know
like,
what,
oh,
though?
yeah.
But they-
you don't know the story behind it.
but they also don't keep statistics for
Plane crashes?
boyfriends and girlfriends
That's
either.
true.
I'll say
You know
this.
what I mean?
True.
At the time, so 65% of the time they're not working.
That's
Oh, no, was it?
a bad. That's a
Right.
But that's what I'm saying. How often are boyfriend and girlfriends breaking up
Google it. No, that's
before marriage?
Those are
You know.
not Tiffany stats. Those are.
I mean, but even if it's just the average status that was going for the longest time, and they were using 50%, like that's still when you
The way
That's fake news, Tiffany.
alternative facts. Alternative facts.
Fake news, Tiffany.
You're right. That is a statistic.
No, it
You're right.
is.
That's
It
very
is.
accurate. You're right.
But even if it was the 50-50 one, like that was going for the longest time, like that analogy still works.
Yeah, I just think that, the idea of the idea of marriage is very archaic in that when people get married, they're still basing it on the idea of what marriage was hundreds and thousands of years ago. And they're holding that to modern day 2018.
Yeah.
So if it, that's why some marriages work because they do what's best for those two people involved. And I think as we continue to hold to these old ideas of what marriage is, then marriages will continue to fall apart.
Yeah.
Also, I think, with our changing times, like people change. And if you're not committed to changing with that person and over time, then your marriage will fail.
For sure.
Because
Facts.
relationships are hard.
Yes.
Well, you put a lot on the actual just the word of marriage. You know what I mean? Because by
Society
living
does.
living with somebody a certain amount of years, you're actually married to that person.
Yes.
Right.
By law, yeah, right?
Right.
After 10 years,
Yeah.
it's common law.
We don't have common law in California.
Common law is
It's
not.
not
We don't have
common law.
common law in California.
But
other places there are
common
common law.
I feel differently about that because you can't just walk away from a marriage. Like, you can walk away from a
Yeah, so that's my reason.
walk away from a marriage.
Yes, you
No.
can.
I see. No,
I wanted to leave it to be a lot.
it's a lot of work because that's one of the reasons why I don't want to get married. But here's
easier than walking away from somebody that you're not married to. Trust me.
That's
no,
true.
it is
That
not. All my breakups are easy. A week, and y'all, we
mean-
in our feelings. We definitely in our feelings, but we don't have to go to court.
You ain't gotta
We don't have to
put
pay
it-
lawyers.
fill out any
We don't
paperwork.
have to fill out no paperwork.
No.
So, Monty, what is the divorce process?
Somebody's going to court.
She doesn't know.
I know. I know, but he just looked at you. I know. He just looked at you and was like, I was trust me. I was scared to get there.
Okay.
I was just talking to you because you have the law. You work at the law firm.
Right.
I was going to Dewana for actual facts.
I think we need a couple of these people on the mic. What's up?
Right. All right.
Some
So,
extra
just
mics.
saying.
so Dewana,
Yes.
what's the divorce process?
Okay, it's a big one. It's quite complicated. I think they do it on purpose. It's a long, drawn-out, legal, binding contract that you are getting out of. So it is really designed to make you really think about it, to see if you really want to do this. It's costly. It's very expensive.
Not true.
Well, even if you do like the
Amicable one. Even amicable
even
one.
if you do the $600, there are things that come up. And
If you're willing to give
complications.
up everything, sure.
Yeah, and if the two parties are
It
absolutely,
depends on the parties.
Yes.
Yeah.
absolutely, because the other person can make it very
And see,
hard.
that's the other thing that I worry about. Like, at that point, you gotta hope that the person that you thought you knew doesn't change into someone that you
Exactly.
don't know
Right,
anymore,
right.
and now attacks you in all these different ways, financially and
Yeah.
things.
Financial, that's the hardest part
yeah.
because that financially you have to disclose everything you own, you have, you do, your job. You have to disclose that information.
See, and that's the part for me that I don't like.
exactly.
I'm not so opposed to marriage that I wouldn't do it, but it had the person would have to understand that if I marry you, that's it. Like, we ain't doing no divorce.
I think everybody starts that
Unless-
way. Everybody
unless-
starts in a relationship,
No.
a marriage where
Oh,
you
you
don't
don't
think
make
I'm
no
gonna
anyway.
divorce you. You don't think that. That's
no,
not part of it.
nah. We ain't. Seriously, no joke. Like, we can be in separate parts of the house. Like Jada said, I'd already thought that before
Right.
that fucking red table
Right,
talk.
right.
We don't have to. First of all, monogamy ain't my thing anyway, and we know this going into a relationship. So part 2 is you can sleep your ass over there with your
Yes,
chick, but
right.
when you die, I control everything. I'm not changing my last name, and they ain't have no say. I
Yes.
went through all of these years with you. Here's the only pettiness I'm gonna do. We ain't divorcing.
Wow.
That's it.
Can I
Unless you're
can I-
like beating me or something.
Can
Like
I
in
bring
that
up
case,
something?
there's
Right.
always an exception to the rule. But other than that, I'm like, you're just gonna have to learn to get through it. Like, you just have to learn to get through it.
So like with divorce, like, I mean, with that being such a big thing, I always wondered like why. And, I know a lot of people like get into marriages or they get married because they think that this person's the one. But like it always makes me think like why or are they really looking into each other and really making sure that this person is actually the one?
Not ignoring signs that's been there.
No,
and then
I think that's rare. I think it's rare when you think 1,000% this person is who, you always see the red flags. You always see the things
For
that,
sure.
and that's usually
you
why you
ignore
divorce.
it.
You divorce because of those things you
They
saw
start
in the
standing
beginning
out, right?
is exactly the reason why you're divorcing.
And I'm with Shemira because I'm like, like, once I'm in, I'm all in.
Yeah.
But I gotta make sure that this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
Well, you gotta make sure you're willing to. You have to assess how crazy am I willing to get over this person's flaws.
But that's what it is.
Yes.
It's loyalty.
Yeah.
And how much of it are you gonna swallow and be like,
thank you. That's what it is.
And that's why I'm like, I don't have to get married because I'm not the one that feels like you treat your husband different than you treat your boyfriend. Because I'm weird in the sense that if you didn't do it for me when we were dating, I don't expect you to do it to me for the change that we're married. Like
That's exactly how it should
I don't
be.
understand
Yeah,
that
exactly.
difference. So I plan on going hard for anybody I'm with. Period.
Right.
And my house, like my family has experienced that. My house comes first. Who I'm dating, my child. Nobody comes before them, and they've seen that.
Right.
So I don't have to get married for that. But again, if somebody felt like they had that was something they really believed in, and I felt like this is someone that I know in 10 years we can renegotiate the contract because you change in 10 years. And, no, seriously, like
that's the change because people
we
change.
went through that, and I was like, okay, it sounds like we like 8 years in. I feel like
but
some of the rules you ain't good with no more. So let's change it up a little bit and let's go.
Brought up was that people go into marriage with the archaic idea, the old idea,
and marriage is what you make it
of what it should be. And then I feel like when they get questioned by their family members, by society about how they decide to do it, then sometimes they, get thrown off like, well, maybe I should do it the way everyone else thinks, just because they're getting questioned, right? So it's so hard to go against a grain with your partner, but I'm just like, but really it's not.
Yeah,
it really ain't. Because it's like, you know what? Ain't nobody in that contract.
Exactly. But you two.
Right. So society has a lot of stigma to it.
I think so.
Yeah, absolutely.
Please. So I didn't
110%.
I didn't change my name. And when we go to get our marriage license, the woman asked me several times. So this is the last time you can change your name. So this is the last time. Like, otherwise you have to go through this whole process. And I'm like, yeah, duh. Yeah. Like, I get it. I'm cool. I'm fine. And then, like, everyone is going to keep calling me Mrs. Tidwell. Like, our family members, our friends are all going to call me Mrs. Tidwell anyway. And it's just like, but you know what? At the end of the day, I made the choice. My husband supported me.
Exactly.
And that's what it is.
And that's all that matters.
Right. So I'm not...
I get called my kid's last name already.
We're doing it the way we want
on the football field. They're always like Mrs. Stewart, and I was like, "That's not my name." But okay,
and that's the thing. We're
but I'm not so upset that somebody does it because I get why they're doing it.
Because we're a small group.
Wait to be a day.
and you wanted to get married, like
but
I think changed. Like now it's just like
I see Webb was not.
Not for 35 years.
Marriage is definitely beautiful, and like I love hearing about people getting married. It's just still not something I desire to do, and because of that, I'm not just going to go do it just because everyone thinks like, oh, she got. I can't tell you how often people still say, well, you guys are basically married. No, we're basically not. Like, we're not. We're not married. I still do not want to get married. I maybe understand the importance even more now that we have kids, but until my heart is really like, yes, I want to be a wife, then right now, I do not want to be a wife.
But see, what I also learned is I'm like, my life insurance went to my ex and my kid. So on paper, my retirement had my ex on it. My will, when Kai died, if Kai and if I were to die and his dad were to die too, my ex was in my will. So I realized that I didn't need a marriage contract to make sure that if something were to happen to me, that they were taken care of either. So once I kind of understood that, then it didn't become so big of a deal. But they have, any relationship, first of all, I don't have relationship goals. Like, I don't understand that because you never know what's going on in somebody's house. Right. Because people tell me about my friend's relationship all the time, like, oh, they have such a, whatever. And not to say anything bad about them, but I wouldn't want any of their relationships for a lot of reasons. But they have a lot of good in it, too. Like, I have one friend they're a couple. I love their honesty with each other. But there's a lot of things in their relationship that I don't like. But I love that they tell each other everything. Right. Everything. And you gonna like it or not like it, but you're gonna get through it. I love that, you know, there's another one of my friends that I look at his wife and she loves the hell out of him. Like the hell out of them. And I'm like, I can't wait to have someone that just looks at me like that. You know what I mean? Right. So there's parts of my friends' relationships, but nobody has a relationship goal for me. And I don't think anybody should have relationship goals, because what I want in my household may be different from yours. And that's not right or wrong. It's just different. Right. And I think the sooner we can get away from that idea, the sooner that people can, and just with a lot of things, people can just be happy with their own life.
Right.
There like, that's the hardest thing.
But what if you meet somebody that actually does share those same values, and you just feel like you could spend a long time with them at that point?
Like, share what values?
Like whatever how you said, like you haven't met anybody that's like that you relate to in that sense. But if you did find somebody who shares the same values on raising your son, or just living life in general, relationships.
I'm down.
You know what I mean?
I'm down all day. Like, where you? Who sent you? Like them unrequested Facebook friends. I don't know you, but who sent you?
Right.
And I like it. I would be down for it. But I don't think I am personally in a place of healing that I'll get it yet, and I don't want it.
Right.
Because I don't want to get the right person and send them away because I'm not who I need to be yet. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. So, and that's why people get married too. They get married for the wrong reason.
Yeah.
That is.
Listen, I don't know who I was telling. This is the first time in my whole adult life I've been single. Let me ride this out for a little bit. I've been in a relationship since I was 14. Let me just enjoy this for a while.
Right.
So yeah, I'm trying to make sure I know who Shemira is again.
Not
Shemira. Definitely not Shemira.
You gotta love yourself before you love anybody else.
Yeah. And I'm not. I hate when people are like my other half. I'm like, nah, I want to be somebody's other whole.
Right.
Like I don't want to be something that somebody needs to feel completed.
And that's what you gotta do.
Because then we suffocate each other. Nah.
You gotta be 100%. That's what people say. You have 50% in the relationship. No, it's 100%.
Yeah. I posted something about this like a while back, and it said marriage is 50-50, and it was like no. Divorce is 50-50.
Right?
Marriage is 100-100.
Right?
Like you gotta put everything into it.
Absolutely.
You have to.
Exactly.
And I think that's the thing.
That's all relationships.
In a lot of
that's
seriously.
not just marriage. That's relationship.
Exactly.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. Like I think we're talking about marriage, but a lot of this applies to just regular relationships.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
And you got to have a strong friendship and a relationship to go into a strong marriage.
We know that's not true. We know that's not true.
Listen, and some days you're allowed to feel like that. Some days you are allowed to feel like that.
25 today.
Wait, what did, who, I was watching Judge Lynn Toler, and she said she gives her husband like a weather report when he wakes up, like, today ain't a good day. Just,
really?
Today ain't a good day. I'm just giving you a heads up. There you go. And that's okay.
All right, I got you on the 170.
Yeah. Because eventually it'll balance out, so it's cool.
Eventually,
you stay together long enough, it'll work itself out.
Right?
But that's the
Law of
thing.
averages.
Marriage. I mean, the concept of marriage is kind of outdated. Like,
Yes.
it is like real retro in the fact of like, you know. You got the woman taking the man's name.
Look at them two. Monty's like, I chose my name. I told you, damn it.
No,
So
but
I wanted to be a Davis.
Some women grew up so excited about that, and that's cool too.
Here's the thing.
I have something to say about
Okay,
that.
hold on. Let me 1 second.
But you go ahead.
So here's the thing.
I'm gonna let you finish.
I believe that if the woman wants, you have to want to take the man's name.
Agreed.
In that, you know.
It's a choice.
It's not supposed to be something that happens, at least in this day and age.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like back then, when the man was typically the breadwinner, et cetera, you know,
was the only one that held property.
right? The
The
whole
who had a
world.
job in the world.
Yeah.
Could vote.
Right.
Like,
It's a lot of broke niggas now. Society changed.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Hey, for real.
Those
Right.
those
A lot of
laws.
broke
And that's the point.
For real.
Those-
That's
those
the
laws
point.
aren't that
So that's
old,
the
actually.
thing. I had to sit there and think because growing up, you know, I always valued marriage. For one reason, you know, my parents divorced, so to me it was a big deal because I remember how bad it hurt as a kid to see it, you know, to see my parents split and see how hard it was, you know, for them to figure it out. Right. And you know, so I always valued that, and I always said one day I'm gonna have kids, and you know, I'm gonna marry someone. She's gonna take my last name, et cetera, et cetera. long story short,
That didn't happen.
I mean, Cara,
Right.
and she gonna switch the whole shit up. So-
Welcome to the women in my family.
I had my
But-
entire life. I grew up saying, "Oh, I want to get married. I'm gonna keep my name."
She has literally
We had,
said
you
that.
know,
Yes, she has always
For real,
said
since
that.
third grade.
And I
Yes.
had to think about it. I'm like, damn, you know what? She's right in a sense of like, it has to be her choice. Now, who knows? There's there's
Couple $100
no
if
way
she wants to
say-
change her mind
she
later
might
down the
change
road.
it,
she
later down the line. But that's
Hyphenated,
on her.
whatever, but it's her choice.
I'm not gonna sit there and force her to do it.
Yeah.
There's other things that I feel like are just in a sense outdated. So I can understand why people don't want to get married in this day and age. But to each his own.
VJ, would you take her last name?
No.
Yeah, I was gonna ask that too.
Hey,
Let me say.
Look, VJ says sip, sip, sip.
His real initials would be VJ,
Nope.
Because
not
the,
Vijay.
Right.
the history
He
of
would be
of
VJ.
last names came from like small towns.
Right.
And it would
Right.
be because like if your dad was a shoemaker, then they would know that this family is the shoemaker
Shoemaking
house.
family,
You know
right?
what I'm saying? So
That and royalty.
The
Now, let me
history
ask
of
you
it,
this.
yeah.
That means, yeah.
So if somebody wanted to track your family down, it just would be easier
Right.
if you had the same last name. That's
Right.
how I feel about it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like if you want to know like your lineage and like for me, like it's hard for me
But
to
they're
know.
all slave names.
I'll say
It doesn't matter like that. It's about
But it does. They're all
Okay,
slave
but I'm
names, so
saying-
why not? What's one slave
okay,
name
but
over
not
another?
fuck the slave names. All that.
Nah, but I mean,
I
that's a
don't care
valid
about the
point,
last
though.
name. I'm
Yeah.
talking
Maybe
about
for-
why the way I am.
No,
Like you know what I'm saying?
I
Like,
get it.
Like if I didn't know that my grandfather was a violinist and all this stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
and it was hard to find that out. But if you know what I mean, like, cause so when I put in my last name into stuff, then I was able to like, okay, damn, this is why I am the way I am.
There's a sense of
You know what I'm
unity
saying?
to
Yeah, it's like,
sharing the
you
same
figure
name.
it out.
Because
You know what I'm
because
saying? And it's
But
just
my
easier.
dad has 5 girls, so if we were all to take our husband's last name,
Then you
there
lose
stops
that.
his lineage.
Yeah.
but
Why should,
Yeah.
why,
That,
why,
that's
why
that's
should
what happens
we
when you
do
have
that?
5 girls. Yeah.
No, yeah, I get that.
because
Yeah.
It becomes
Right.
null and void after marriage.
Right.
That's why.
but here's the thing.
But why
Your
is
daddy
it-
should
why
have
is
had a
it
damn
that-
boy.
It was the woman's
He
fault.
got Johnny Jones right here.
But here's
Johnny Jones is right here.
I would definitely never be
Here's
a
the
Jones
thing.
under no
Here's the thing.
circumstances.
You guys got 5 daughters. Your dad has 5 daughters, and they're all if they all plan to keep their last name, but who they gonna pass it to?
Yeah.
Right.
Because
So still-
guaranteed, most of the guys that they date or decide to marry, or the kids that they have,
They're gonna
you're-
still give
you
them
know,
the, get,
Well,
the
that's
guy's
the thing.
name.
All the kids
Our
have the
kids-
dad's last
Yeah.
name.
Right.
Conversation, and I realized that I completely fucked up by not speaking up about my kids
So,
not having my last
I
name.
doubt that
I
too,
thought that
for
was-
sure.
that
I
was-
definitely I was like, damn, I should have did that initially and gave Kai a hyphenated last name. And when I think about it, it's
Okay,
weird
let
because
me ask you this.
oh yeah,
Let me
Go
just say this. All right,
Say
I
something.
get what you're saying.
look,
But-
Anton,
but-
Damon like Anton, say it, speak on it. You got the
Alright.
mic, speak on
It's
it.
okay if it's one of them. Like you like, look, this the only boy. He needs to have this name. But if you talking about all my kids need to have my last name, like I don't know, man.
Yeah.
But see,
you
but
gotta
that's
remember that men is men.
But
Like
that's
we,
also-
like, at the end of this day,
Right.
like,
And I'm
you gotta respect
Yeah.
some kind of be like,
Right.
I know I ain't
Talking
finna
about way
even
back
say
in the
this
day.
Yeah.
shit. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like,
I mean-
it's not marriage is not a modern concept, and I can't get with that.
yeah.
yeah.
But that also talks
But
about
it can
different.
be.
No, but
It
that
can
also
be.
talks about different relationships.
Huh?
But
You wanna change
All right,
your last
Tiff,
name.
I'm not changing my last
Tiff.
name, but neither is Cara.
first of all, I'm just saying Tiffany
let's-
Jones
let's
needs a
just-
mic,
let's
but
just
she
say
refused
both
to
me-
get on the mic.
No, what's up?
But now she wants to yell in the background. But
Get on the
Tiffany,
mic.
Say something now?
yes, wait,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
Monica been.
Okay.
Hey,
Wait,
hey,
she's
time
been
out. Monica
waiting.
been patient.
Monica had hers.
Monica should also have a mic, but she chose not to.
About to let these bars.
Yes.
Drop them bars.
About the marriage and the
VJ,
last name.
VJ,
Yes.
where's the bloodline come from? Female,
Wait.
They come from the
Yeah.
male.
Wait,
Okay,
Monica.
no. That is
No,
wait,
wait, wait,
DNA
wait,
is
wait.
50-50.
Wait,
DNA is
Wait,
50-50.
hey,
Let her
hey,
go.
everyone, time out. Monica.
Yes, it is.
Wait,
There's 23 chromosomes
No,
for the
hey,
male,
look.
23
We
chromosomes
gonna
for
turn
the
it off.
This
female.
is what happens when my family gets together. Time out. Let Monty go.
Okay, let
Monty
Mon-
waited patiently while everybody talked. Go ahead, Monty. We ready for you,
drop
boo.
them bars.
Yep.
So
that's the nickname.
the history of the last name with me, it goes a little differently. because my mother's maiden name was the same
Yeah.
as my father's last name.
Yeah.
So her entire life, she got questioned on whether she was really married or not, even to the point that when I was born, the nun in the Catholic hospital I was born in took a paperclip and put a note that said, mother's married name same as maiden.
Wow.
And it wasn't until I was 7 years old that they physically take the note off of my birth certificate.
Wow.
So every time I asked for a copy, I got a copy that said, yeah, mama was married when she had you. And here's how we letting you know. So that
Wow.
bothered me for a long time, that I had to go through all of that.
Yeah.
Aside from all of that, I am the kind of person who decided that one day when I decided, you know what, I like this dude enough to be his wife, I'm going to go ahead and take his name. It took me 35 years to do that. And after I decided, yes, I wanted to have his name, it don't take long. It took me 20 days. I went to the Social Security office, and I went to the DMV, and boom, my name was changed. So
Yeah.
You get a divorce.
it's not, it is not something that is hard to do.
It's hard
It's
to
not.
get a
It is
divorce.
definitely,
it ain't hard
it
at
is
all.
definitely a
So-
personal choice. And if my mother had not gone through what she went through, maybe I would feel differently. But I am my mother's child, and that is how I feel.
I got
Okay,
a-
wait,
I
hold
got a
on, hold
question.
on,
Oh,
hold on,
okay.
real quick. I just want to say, it's we talk about just everybody having their own relationship dynamics. So for the longest time, my dad was heartbroken that I was not a boy, because in his mind, his last name stopped. Period.
Right.
So that was another reason why I was like, dang, I should have gave my kid the hyphenated last name, not to take away from his own father and that, but just to kind of have that name connect. But I have a bunch of cousins that we reconnected with maybe 6-7 years ago, and they are all Furmans. How the fuck they're Furmans, I don't know, because their mothers were Furmans, and there's a gang of them that come from the same mom, and they still got the same last name. I'm like, what dude did you have around that let this go? Ah, shoot.
Right.
So it is possible, but again, it means that you have, what is in your relationship? And everybody's relationship is different. It doesn't make it right or wrong, it's
Right.
just
Right.
different.
Right.
So if he's willing to take,
I know very few women. Actually, Cara is probably the only one I know who did not change her name.
oh, I know. So one of my friends is married right now, and
I know a
on
couple.
on emails, her name says her married name, but legally she kept her own name.
Right.
Some people are with that, and there are men that do take the last name. So I think that it does happen. But the only thing is, if a guy takes the last name, then you got to worry about people that are gonna make fun of him, the
It's
stigma
usually,
that comes with it. It's
African.
usually other dudes. That's the.
If you from Africa and your name is all the way fucked up, you probably
Okay,
might be
so-
like, yeah, I'll take your last name. It's easy to say.
And,
Nobody can say my name, so.
In some cultures, the man does take the woman's last name, and that's the name that they pass on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it really just depends. I was just thinking about this, and I was curious, but for the moms that have children who don't have their last name, does that make you guys feel some type of way?
Okay, I'm going to speak on that.
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
Really?
I'm gonna speak on that.
Yes, it does.
Okay. So my child had a different last name from me.
Child is here.
I'm
and has a
sorry.
drink.
Okay.
Who's quiet? Who's real quiet over there?
Speaking in the third person.
Right.
Said
Said child is in. She should have got that damn card yesterday.
So it wasn't until she went through a traumatic situation that she decided that she wanted the same last name as me. She was very young at the time. She wanted to be connected to me, and there was no problem with it. I was a single mom, and I changed her last name. I wrote her name as she was to be called, and it was not until she was in high school and needed to have a work permit that she decided that she would go by her legal name.
No, I hyphenated it. I went by my legal last name hyphenated with your last name.
Until you needed the work permit and until you realized that your transcripts were all going to match in college, and we had a long conversation and you decided to drop
Right,
the
but I
hyphen.
didn't drop the hyphen until I graduated from high school. And then I went into college.
Was it
and I
on
had
your
to go
was it
to
on your diploma?
Yeah, was it hyphenated on my diploma? No, it was my legal last
They
name.
had to do what was legal. I'm
Right.
sure.
Yeah.
But
Because
does
I remember you also wanted to be. You were like, "I'll be a Davis" at one point, if I remember correctly.
Monty did.
Yeah.
Did
No.
that?
No,
She got
we
three last names.
joke with Brittany that she's had so many last names because she's had so many
I would be a
people
kid
willing to give it
Cassius
to her.
Clay.
But
Okay.
but Monty,
Very much.
because because Brittany grew up under your household and everything, like you cared for her, you took care of her. Did that bother you at any point, like, or was it just kind of like you just left it as is, just because it is what it is?
What do you mean? What bother you?
Like her having
a different last name.
for whatever amount of time.
Well, no, because it doesn't matter what you call her. She is who she is.
Right.
And it doesn't matter how I feel about her biological
Person. Yep.
Person.
Father. You get the
Biological
biological father.
Her biology does not define.
Yeah, we weren't gonna give him any more credit than he needed.
Right. We call them donors. that's
So
all.
it doesn't. That part never bothered me.
Right.
Because I knew, probably first, out of anybody on the planet, I knew first that was going to be her decision.
Right.
And when she made it, it was just her and I there when she made it. And I couldn't say anything but, okay.
Yeah.
That's her life. That is how she chose to do it. And some people will say, oh, well, she was too young, or oh, she was this or that. So what? She could have changed it back the next year.
Yeah.
And changed it back again the next year. I
Right.
don't care.
That's how
As
she
long
felt.
as she felt happy
Right.
with who she was, that did not matter to me.
Right.
It could be however she wanted it to be.
Okay.
Yeah, Kai.
I just think that we just need to think about it more logical than what it is.
What do you mean?
Like I said, it's just really about knowing who you are, or like if you get sick, you know what I mean, like what was in your family, like you know what I mean, like.
But that's your DNA.
just-
that has
yeah.
nothing to do with your name, though.
Well,
Like,
before,
I mean,
before
oh,
it was
before.
DNA, like going
Yeah.
back and looking at your actual lineage.
But it's hard for
it
black
has-
people in general, just so you know.
It
I've been
is, but
trying to,
no,
like,
just
I get
if you're-
stumped when we get to a certain
Right.
point of black people because we weren't documented. So you can only go so far.
We have only
unless
been
you
able
have
to go
personal
as
things.
far as
My great grandparents
our
were
people in
slaves,
Louisiana,
so I know that's where my
that's
last name
about
came
it.
from.
Yeah.
Where?
Louisiana. That
In
was
Arkansas.
that was as far
Yeah.
back as we've been able to go. But still, it was easier to even look at documents and records, even if you had some idea of where this name was coming from, even if you're able to keep up with at least something. So I remember we were doing our marriage license, and VJ puts his mom's name, and he didn't put the whole name. I was just like, no, put her entire name so that our future generations can go back and see
find
who
it.
the hell
Right,
were
right.
these people.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was
And
just
that-
like,
that's
make
something-
And
sure
that makes
you
a
do it
huge
right.
difference.
My
Yes.
mom, she's a foreigner. Like her maiden name is unpronounceable to many
To all of us.
What is her?
Olaganathan.
Got it.
So
you know, why
Say it
y'all
again.
laugh when he said that's so
Olaganathan.
Yes, I do want to know.
One more time.
My family ain't shit. Family ain't.
BJ, my headphones went out. Say it one more time.
Do I gotta say it with the accent?
Say it one more time.
There was an accent in there.
Olaganathan.
Got it.
But yeah, so she chose to keep my dad's last name even after they separated, you know,
Yeah.
and it was really more for, I guess,
You.
business purposes and
Well, and
the
her
fact
children.
that
I would do that too.
yeah,
Like
so
if
for them to feel
I were
connected to
like
us.
if we were to separate, like I'm keeping that last name. But
But
I'm
she-
also not opposed to not being married and just changing my last name anyway.
Right,
So
and-
I would do that, like because you know, a
know,
couple
it's
$100, I
amazing.
totally do it.
Dewan,
Nah,
Yeah.
trace your lineage back to where?
Well, we
How
went
far
back-
did the
we went-
bouteilles go?
We went back 9 generations, and they were still in Louisiana. There's an island in Louisiana called the Bouteille Island, and that is where my family's from. But it's so funny because we went 9 generations,
from
and
the
we
Bouteille
still we still couldn't get to the slave.
No, because
right?
we're not documented.
Because
do
we
that.
have and Mimi's is Blackfoot from Mississippi, right? Blackfoot and Cherokee. And
Wait, you found that? Because I found her when they migrated from when Grandma Blue migrated from Ireland.
Yes.
So I have that.
Exactly, yes.
And then I have Grandma Blue's husband, so our grandpa. One of the census had Mimi as a mulatto, and then one had her as a Negro.
Right.
But that's as far as I can go. I could go back. Grandma Blue coming here from Ireland.
Well, we did. My mom and I did Ancestry.com, right?
Huh?
And
I ain't tracing my lineage because my parents got the same damn last
so
we did some things we don't need to know.
Right, but we traced it. We did Ancestry DNA, and it came back where we found out that the Cherokee Native American is in there, but also on our mom's side, there's 1% Asian, Middle East. We're like, who is her?
I'm not mailing my DNA to nobody because that's the feds. I don't care what they say. I don't know.
It's not. But
hey, get my saliva.
You ain't getting nothing from me.
Come on. Let's have a talk. Let's have a talk.
Wait, you want what do you want to search? Yeah.
Let her say what she gotta say.
No, I'm interested to know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I'll talk about it later.
Yeah, that's that mumble jar. We need to open it because I didn't understand nothing the two of you said.
I just wanted to circle back around to what you guys were talking about. Tiffany said that she personally felt like it was an issue that she didn't have her children having the same last name as her. So, like, and as far as the concept of marriage goes, if you are in a relationship with that person and then you do happen to unfortunately split and your child wants to change their last name like my own personal experience was, how would you go about that?
Oh, I'd be honored, by the way. I didn't get a chance
you
to
can
answer
do
that.
it legally.
For the men specifically.
But like,
You have to be more specific.
so this is my thought. Like, let's say, your child decides to or you decide to hyphenate your child's name, and then they grow up, they get married, and they feel just as strongly.
Which name do they keep?
How many names do they keep? Do they keep hyphenating the
No,
names,
because
or
you can.
like,
What they can do is drop. I've
Who
seen
they
people,
dropping, though?
I've seen people drop their middle names and literally drop their middle names
Somebody gonna feel upset about it.
and take so whatever their hyphenated name was. So let's use her case, Belle Webb. So instead of having Lorraine instead of having her middle name would now become Belle, and then her new last name would be hyphenated. Webb and whoever else, or Davis and whoever else, whatever she was going with at that time in the year.
Right.
If something happened to my husband, when I get married again,
When?
What?
If something happened,
What?
if something.
What do you mean if? You're not going to be.
This is only if he dies. Wait, time out. Listen, I'm just saying right now, Mommy. Don't end up on Snapped. Don't end up on Snapped with that statement. Hey, Johnny, you getting something to drink?
And I got remarried again. My name would be Monica Davis. New dude.
Got it.
But luckily,
This is only if you leave. She doesn't plan on leaving you.
See? I didn't mean leave.
Yeah, like you got to be dead. Yeah, like dead.
Let me ask you this, right? Let's say that you get married or whatever, and the dude take your last name, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then, like, he makes a company out of your last name.
Okay.
And y'all divorce. Then what?
Well, that's all in paperwork too.
Sounds like a situation.
That's legal. That's legal. It's all legal.
It's still my last name.
Okay, but y'all not gonna be upset about that? Like,
we can't be because it's
making
legal.
a-
It's a legal document.
But
It's
the
illegal.
that legal document.
Yeah, it
you
trumps
have to-
everything.
that- yeah.
Legal document trumps everything. So.
What you mean? So like that means that
The moment y'all
He
divorce, y'all decide.
that is his name now. That is his name, and he can do whatever he wants with his name.
So he would have to go back and
Nothing.
change.
We can
his
say
name,
something, but there's nothing we can
So
do.
y'all would just
So
be hot.
if y'all
That's what I'm
remember,
saying.
if
That's
y'all
like-
remember in the What's Love Got to Do
Yeah,
with
right.
That
She was
movie,
like, I'm a Turner.
Right.
He's like, that's my last name. That's my daddy's last name.
And
Ain't nobody gonna say
I
my last
was trying
name.
to tell her that she had to change her last name. She said, no, I
earned
got
it.
success under this name.
She said
I'm
I
not
earned
changing it.
Yeah.
And he just had to deal with it.
Yeah,
That's
she
wild.
said I earned that last name.
Right?
Again, it's a legal document. You better
Yeah.
go in with open eyes.
Yeah.
Wait, what'd you say, Damon?
That's wild though. If you
what'd
think
you-
about that, like.
But that would be his name. It would be, for Johnny, for instance, it would be Johnny Jones. That's his name.
He could do
So
whatever he
why
wants.
would I take his name from him? That is now his
Well, he's
name.
not saying that. He's talking about
No, he's talking about it in the
I'm talking about,
business.
like,
But
But
open
be-
the business under his
His name,
It's
yeah.
not- The company is
Yeah.
Tiffany's.
Yeah.
It belongs to him. him. Whatever.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. But it doesn't. No.
No,
if you get
but if
divorced-
his business, but if his business
It depends
is
on-
just his, he might have to split the money, but not the business itself, depending on how he structured the business.
I've never known from a woman to walk away from a company.
No, for sure. Hey, ain't y'all seen Waiting to Exhale? Nobody seen that movie? Just saying. I would definitely keep that last name though, because I earned it.
Even in our current financial circumstance, there would still be a prenup.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Because I don't plan on being in this state for forever.
I don't think you need a prenup. I mean, because like at the end of the day,
But I don't
especially
plan
if
on
you got
getting
kids
divorced,
involved.
so.
Will and Jada have a prenup, and they both publicly have stated over and over they're not getting divorced, yet they still have a prenup.
Yeah.
Because she said, if it happened to happen, she said, I am not mature enough to divorce, meaning she gonna take that nigga for everything. That's why.
That's knowing
That's when the
yourself.
Baltimore. Right.
That's knowing yourself.
She said that Baltimore is gonna come out.
You can have all
Yes.
the trust in the world in your partner, but
Yeah.
if you know yourself and
Yeah.
say, I'm not big enough to
And
do
that's
that,
why-
That's the thing. Like
That's why I would get it
I feel
for
like-
me.
I feel like
it has
that's
nothing
like
to
a
do with them
selfish
because
thought,
I
though,
know
like-
what I would be.
That's
like.
I feel like that's
Yeah, it's like damn, like that.
like going in with the expectation of it not being.
I feel like you feel like
well,
you feel like one is better than like this person is better than me, so I know that I'm not gonna be able to survive.
No. So I can tell you. Wait, hold on.
That
Let me
doesn't make
tell.
sense.
No. Here, but let me tell you from my point of view. I'm working my ass off to build something for my last name, whether that kid has my last name or not. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Whoever I date, I'm not geared to let them take shit from my kid. It's not about protecting me. It's about protecting him and all my future kids that I may have without this person.
I'm talking about.
So that's why.
No. That in that
Huh?
regard.
If I plan on marrying this person,
if you have
I'm getting a prenup not to protect me, but to protect my assets for my child.
But I'm saying if you like not if you have a child before you're married.
Yeah.
Then that makes
That's
sense.
all I really care about,
But
honestly.
if you were
But then
together,
again, I
if y'all
told y'all I don't
started
plan
out
on getting
together
married.
and y'all have kids together, then I don't think it should be like it.
Okay,
But I also wouldn't be offended if somebody asked me to sign one.
So then if you have the argument, like Brittany was saying, like you feel like that's sabotage, then that just goes back to the conversation. Is marriage as archaic as it once was, or is it the new marriage? Because if we go with archaic marriage, property does matter. Contracts does matter. Money matters 100%.
But then,
if
but
you
then,
just
but
talk
then
about love,
but then it comes,
give it all up.
But then it comes to the.
So it just you have to decide the type of marriage you want. Because if money does matter, then it matters to the very end.
Yeah,
you got
Right,
it.
for sure.
Because Debbie said if he's ready to leave, he can leave me with everything.
Hey, that's what's up.
I don't remember that.
Look, Damon's like, I just want to out.
Hey, for real, like you trying to leave, you
Yeah.
gonna leave. Like,
Damon's like, I can rebuild
Hey,
this
look.
shit all over again. So I'm gonna leave and make it easy for you. You can't speak bad on me. I gave you everything.
Look,
Wrong. You say that now, but if a marriage were to end very badly and you've worked for a lot and someone's telling you that even though I wasn't
You gotta be
yeah,
careful.
hey, I'm with you.
You gotta be careful.
I don't care like that, man. Like,
thank you.
I'm gonna put it on record.
What did Tim say?
I mean, like,
I gotta go.
Now, if that was the case, then for the next to the end of whenever next year, I can ask all of you guys for money. You guys can be very happy partying with it, right?
I'll give you money.
I sent you a Venmo the other day, right?
Right?
no, I'm saying like,
I mean, it depends on how much you ask for, though.
I'm saying
It really depends on how much you ask for.
Talk to a divorce.
Wait. But
I've been divorced twice.
I've been divorced once.
see, so you.
The one I've been divorced 8 times.
Okay, so
Hey, look, I'm gonna just let me.
Fourth time's the charm. Fourth time's the charm.
I'm gonna go on record.
Wait, VJ wants to go on record. Wait, hold on.
I've been married twice. My second wife had nothing to do with my business, but she wanted half the shit.
Yeah.
Only with her ass.
Yeah.
I
And
had
that
to
matters.
hold my business for 4 years, so she couldn't get anything.
Wow.
So I stayed married just so I can keep my loop.
Wow.
Yeah.
So most marriages don't. I mean, not most marriages, but a lot of marriages don't work, and it's gonna end up about money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Always.
Right.
The older you get, the more you end up. Like they're young, they don't have shit.
Right. Hey,
Hey, that's
Wait, VJ was like, that was my point.
I was gonna go on record and say, Cara, you can't take half of mine because I ain't got half. So
Right. Nothing from nothing leaves nothing.
what you gonna get?
Exactly.
Hey.
Divorce can't be simple. Nobody have anything.
Right.
We both was broke.
I think
Right.
that's a good
So
point.
we just shook hands.
That is a good point
Right.
because look, because check this out. How many times?
That's right.
How many times when we see pro athletes who have literally done all the work,
Yeah.
earned all the millions
Yeah.
of dollars, and
What's
they
Shaq saying?
relationships ain't work because they was out doing dirt or whatever. It just didn't work out.
Maybe
Yet
she
that-
was in the gym shooting with him.
Hey,
Right.
I
That
doubt
was-
it.
That was going to
I
I
doubt it.
highly doubt
You
it.
build it
But
Wait.
that
together,
woman,
go, okay, ride or die still exists. Okay,
Exactly.
women
So
still
that-
putting in work. Yeah, I'm getting real up in here.
Hey, somebody pass that girl a mic. Somebody pass that girl a microphone. Go, Brittany.
I would like to know if you broke at the bottom and you rising
Yes.
together.
See, I'm good with that.
Yes, I agree. If
I'm
we
with
rise
that.
together,
That-
rise
that's
together.
fine.
If we rise
Rise
together.
Rise
These-
together.
these
But that's not
athletes-
usually the case.
Hold on.
Yeah.
That's
Hold
what
on.
I'm saying.
what if
Hold
that's
on.
not the case?
Yeah.
Hold on.
That's not the case.
The prenup.
Mumble jar.
For sure.
Hey, you want a real cat? and walk
But yeah.
around.
That's-
Wait. Yeah, let me just
Hold
say
on,
that.
Hold on.
Thank you.
These athletes meet these girls in clubs.
Exactly. So
Right.
that's the
Well
difference.
after they're already pro.
No, but that was the point that VJ was
I'm just
making.
That was his
saying.
question.
That's the point that VJ was
I'm
making.
furthering it for the whole conversation to say, if you're talking about she doesn't get any of what I worked hard for, if y'all ain't got shit together.
I agree
Yes.
with that. I agree with that.
Absolutely.
Right,
Yes, I
right.
agree
Yeah.
with that.
Why doesn't
But
she
we
get
was
it?
talking
we
about
talking
the
about
athletes.
we talking about
I
like
agree
we talking
with
about
what
like
you're saying.
Shaq who had to pay what did Shaq lose like $90 million?
Tiger Woods had to pay over 120 million.
Tiger and Boo Hoo.
But no, wait. To be fair though,
Tiger's
let
money
me
went to the white community.
wait. But let me say this.
You'll
and-
never see that again.
Never, ever. But let me say this though, like I don't agree with the fact that Tiger should have paid over. I know somebody refill my cup too, please. I don't think that Tiger should have paid over $100 and something million because he made a lot of his money solo.
Right.
So that's not fair.
So that's
But
That's
no,
but
but
that's
he didn't
also
sign-
his fault
Right,
because he
right,
didn't have a
There we
prenup.
go. That's his fault.
So that for me,
Yes.
Hold on.
A prenup is whatever you want it to be.
yes,
Yes.
it doesn't have to be just money.
So if me and Johnny are building now, and we happen to get married and then
Thank
get
you.
divorced, I want that prenup to say we were fucking building.
Yeah.
And now that
And
we're
now
no
we
longer
split it.
together,
Okay, but
Yeah.
it is the thing,
Yeah, and that was my other point. Like if you're just like Brittany said,
no,
like if
that-
you're coming up together, you should. I mean, if you're gonna have a prenup, because for me, if we coming up together,
But
I don't
what-
mind
but-
splitting
Hold
it.
on.
Most real cats don't
Yeah.
give a fuck about it.
Right,
That-
but that's one thing. What
No.
if
You can
if
have all this shit, baby.
That's true.
Yeah, that's how I am.
right?
Yeah.
You own the doctor.
Tiffany, hold on. Hold on.
But my thing
Hold
is,
on.
Wait, hold on.
my thing
No.
is,
Wait, hold on.
In
Just a
our
second.
case, if that was to happen, Tiffany does deserve half. She was with me when
Yes.
I was sleeping on a couch
Right.
Right?
at the very bottom.
Yeah.
Like I was dead broke.
Right.
So, but that's just me though. Like I wouldn't argue against that. A lot of people
We
would.
bought a
Hold
house
on.
together, right?
Mhm.
We talked on the phone like,
She
oh,
got a
so
toilet in
I'm
her
gonna sell the house, sell the house.
I know. Watch what you say, corkscrew.
78,000. We bought it in '94.
right.
Right.
I said, how you want to sell the house? It's only worth 100,000.
So a profit
So-
is a profit.
So
But, okay,
I
but my thing is,
Yeah.
Look,
Yeah.
it's to the point where look, I walked away from it.
Yeah.
But we came to the terms. What 20 years later,
Yeah.
she's still telling me I want to sell the house. I'm like, that's your house.
right.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what I'm saying?
At this point, like I'm so far disconnected from it. Do whatever you want with it.
Right.
Everything we, you know what I'm saying? That's your house.
Right.
Yeah.
That's yours.
Okay, but what if I
I
didn't
don't
want
need-
to
I don't need
What
none
if
of
I
that.
want it all?
Right. Because usually when
But that's a
divorce,
problem for
That's
me.
a
a
argument.
divorce is
That's
not really
a hard
nice.
problem.
Divorces really aren't amicable.
You gotta ask
They're
yourself
not.
about who you are as a
They're
human
not
being.
compassionate. They're not
So,
fair.
All is different.
Yeah. But I get Tiffany's
yes.
point.
How do you
I'll
justify?
give you
how do
half.
justify
I'm not giving you all.
How
No,
do
I
you
give you
justify
half.
that?
I'm not
But
giving
you
you
don't
half.
justify.
You
But that's
gonna
the
end
thing.
up. You gonna end up in somebody's trunk like breaking the roof. Maybe mama some shit.
There's gonna be a hole
I'm
with your
catching
name
that
on
body.
it. There's going to be a hole with
Get
your
that
name
on
it.
record.
Nah, you been in my house lately? What's half my shit?
Right.
You
You
don't
got
wanna
a
say
pool
this.
table.
How do you
A
justify
pool
that?
table in the
You
bar.
have your shit right here.
Hey, get that on
Hey, I
camera.
know.
Get that on camera.
Get that right there. Right there. Y'all see that?
Turn
Hey.
There we go. Right. She taking that shit too, though. And the pool table and Roger. You ain't getting shit,
and
my
Roger.
nigga.
That's that's where he gonna cut you.
Monty, am I lying?
Yeah. That's
She taking Roger too.
Because Roger go buy their ass every day.
Hey,
But
am I train him?
hey, but he going though.
All right, so every time she come near you, you bite her, all right?
But he gonna be going though.
At our veterinary hospital, when especially the last one that I worked at before I quit, we actually had families that we would talk to the different parent because they would bring them in for different visits, especially if they were sickly. So it was custody battles with animals. But to your point, how do you justify that? You don't. You get a good lawyer that justifies it for you.
Why can't Lord, you can work it out.
So I have.
But that makes me thinking. That makes me thinking. But that makes me thinking.
If you got to that point, you probably not gonna be able.
That
to
makes
work
me
it
think
out,
in
right?
the canon though. So we're talking about divorces, and I was listening to his his interview, and he was talking about how like the lawyers were like, okay, no, but you really should take this, and you really should have this, and he said him and Mariah was just like, what are we doing?
Right.
Like they work for us.
Right.
I'm gonna go in and tell them like us collectively to say, this is what we're taking.
Right.
I don't care what you think we should take.
Right.
This is what we're doing.
Let me ask
Because we
Okay.
don't want to have a messed up divorce.
Okay, Dewana.
Which
Well,
is dope.
Kim just walked out. Dewana, from your experience, what do you think?
So
would be
speak
fair?
honestly.
No, what do you think would be fair in divorce terms?
Yeah.
As far
Well,
as,
see, that's hard because every single time you go in there, right, that loving relationship that you had in the beginning, that beautiful thought you had of this person in the
Marriage
beginning,
is a business
gone.
contract.
It
Right.
It's
Right,
gone.
for sure.
So all your fairness, all your compassion, all your humanity is gone. And that moment you are pissed off at this other person for whatever reason. That's why you're getting a divorce, and that is what determines what's going to happen. That's what I'm saying. The divorce doesn't happen on these nice, beautiful terms.
Yeah.
So maybe
It
you should
happens
calm
when you
down.
are.
But that's
Maybe
why I
you
think
should like relax.
I think
before you
divorce
go
should
to
be like
divorce.
in
Yeah,
Georgia.
but
So
no-
in Georgia, you have to do counseling before they'll even let
So-
you get divorced.
Right,
Like, and I
so-
think that should happen.
So is
Well, in
divorce the last
California-
resort?
Yes,
It should be.
Yes, because in California, if you have children,
Right, and I had to,
That's Southern.
You had to go through stuff before you can just get divorced. Yeah.
Right.
And I think that's important.
Yeah.
I think because if you go, because sometimes, I mean, we do that with a lot of shit in life.
different.
We
That's
make
the Bible
permanent
Belt.
decisions.
Belt.
But I think that should be
Right,
something that
right.
happens because we make decisions based on how we're feeling at that time.
Yes.
And that's not okay.
Absolutely.
That is not,
Absolutely.
we will
It's
end
not.
up hurting
in the heat
people.
of the moment, you're making
Yes.
a decision.
I think
Because you feel like
And
you
they're
got to
bad.
get them even more than they got you.
Yes.
And then it turns into, okay, well, you're trying to get me, well, I'm going to get you too.
Right.
And it's just unhealthy.
Yes.
Now,
I definitely
why-
think there should be a gap in between
Yes.
how long you guys have to be separated, therapy, and then divorce.
Why is it that one of the top reasons for divorce is financial?
I will tell you from my point of view,
Uh-huh.
working with Primerica, what up, Team Phoenix,
Pyramid schemes for the win.
most people go into relationships. They treat finances the way they've learned it, which is nothing.
Right.
They have
Right.
no
That's
financial
facts.
education in
Right.
any way.
Right.
So then you go into it with somebody else who doesn't know it. So it's like you guys are just jumping off a ledge together over and over and over again. And you need to have someone come in and and it's okay. Like we have therapists that people don't go to, but you have therapists that help you with everything else.
Right.
You need to have a financial coach
advisor.
that can sit there, and you have to be honest. I've sat at countless tables. And I'm like, all right, so y'all gonna tell me this is all the debt y'all got? Like, I know you're lying.
Right? Exactly.
So who's hiding something? Because I can't help you if you don't tell me everything. The best appointment I went to, I shit you not, the table was longer than this. And the whole table was full of bills. Wow. They had multiple houses in multiple places. One of their place had a helicopter pad, but no helicopter. And she kept telling him, we need to sell a few of these. And he refused. But it was easier to help them once they realized that there's a lot of shit. And they had to deal with, like, it wasn't something that we can help them right away.
Right.
Because at that point, you need therapy because there's something that you guys can't, for whatever reason, y'all can't let go of.
Exactly.
So once they did that, we were able to come through. They were already honest about the financial part. It was just I can't let this go.
Right.
But some people don't let things go because they ain't never had shit. So they feel like they're failing if they do it. So from my perspective, that's the biggest part. Honesty education and having someone come in that can help you
So getting help
navigate.
is huge.
Huge.
Because
I mean, we
divorce-
need help with everything else.
Right, because divorce is what you have to end up with because you couldn't. Right, because
If you choose to do that.
Why isn't it a part of high school?
There's a lot of things that should be.
Why
a part of
aren't we learning that now?
That's a whole. I feel like we could do a whole nother podcast on that.
For
because
sure.
Look, I'll go on a rant.
Education of
We'll be
life.
back tomorrow at 7 Central.
I know, right?
They screw up. I feel like the school system is screwed up in the way they're leading our children.
of course. They don't teach economics.
No.
They don't teach
Right.
bank balancing.
No.
Right.
They don't teach
How to
that.
write a
My
check.
last relationship.
Let's not say that they screwed up. You would like to do better in the school.
Right.
Yes,
Okay,
there you go.
you're right,
There you
you're right,
go.
you're right.
I like that.
Help us out, Antoine.
My
Just in
last
case this airs,
relationship,
you
though,
know.
I had to teach her how to write a check.
What it is.
She was like, I don't know what to do with this. And then she wrote the first check and they sent it back to us because she wrote it wrong.
Right.
And it was just like, that was, for me, that was what I started with. Like a
And-
little bank book when I had my little savings account.
Right.
Did I mess it up? Absolutely.
Yes,
It should
yes.
Yeah.
definitely,
So
it
I-
should definitely
writing
be
checks.
classes
How to
on credit
No,
score
listen, this is
counseling.
important. In the 5th grade, my teacher decided that we needed to know how to do it. So she made it fun. She would take our spelling test. Whatever your grade was on your spelling test, that got to be your deposit. Sometimes you got to
Nice.
play banker, and you would actually walk to that person. She would stamp your bank book and write your deposit in.
That's
Then
so dope.
What a
everybody
That's
great
an amazing teacher.
Right.
You know,
That's
hey,
what
I'm
I
about to do that with my
Hold on,
5th
let her
graders.
get it off.
Real.
Seriously,
Let her get it
You guys
off.
should do this.
Then everybody else in the class would bring little trinkets, some blow pops or whatever, and you would charge, I don't know, 50 cents, $10, whatever. She would make you choose a different number. Then the kids in the class would come with their checkbook, and you
Dope.
would have to write a check for what you wanted to buy.
That's
and then
awesome.
you give it to that kid, and then you could buy your blow pop. You would be writing a check for $10.30 and no 100 cents.
Yeah,
But
right.
It was all to teach you to
Right.
write checks.
Imagine if we just did that one
Right.
little
It
thing.
was
Seriously.
in the 5th grade.
We,
That
we,
was
we
great.
don't we don't teach our kids how to accrue credit. But,
No.
you know, but most people accrue debt.
We
you know
teach
what I mean?
people that debt is evil, and so like I take Kai to really the amount that I've spent on education alone in just this year. I take Kai with me. We went to an investment class, and he learned how to invest in the stock market.
Wow. Go
Why
on,
not?
Right.
Yeah.
Why not?
Right?
I've taken him to real estate classes. So I'm with Fortune Builders. They have a whole for their boot camps. They have a whole section for the teenagers, 13 to 18. They teach you about how to retire by 30.
Wow.
How to do it, how to invest in real estate. What are these different accounts like? What are these different retirement accounts for? How do you make them work in your best behavior or in your best situation? What corporation is for you?
Right.
Why don't we teach them that?
Right.
But the big reason why our kids don't know that, how can we teach something we don't even know?
Right. So that's the problem. It's
So,
an ongoing cycle
it is.
of
But
education.
But at this point, it's our fault because at this point we have everything at our fingertips.
Yes.
Why don't we take advantage of it?
Absolutely.
right. Right.
I've seen those ads go over and over on my Facebook feed. All right, there's a free class here. I'm gonna go. So what if I have to pay $200 for the next course?
Right. It's an
I
investment.
it's an investment in myself. I can write it off later, but I'm gonna learn something because
Right.
I don't want to be ignorant anymore.
Right.
I just don't want to, and I want my kid.
Because
Because you think about
book clubs too, like
Yeah.
they don't have that no more. Where
No.
you suggest in books, you know what I mean?
For
to the kids,
sure.
it's like,
People don't read.
Yeah.
they don't.
mean,
but I mean, the library has audiobooks.
That's the unfortunate part because, like, you know, you got families, you got parents who aren't involved. Like they're there, but they're not involved in their kids' lives, or they're not making them go outside or read books or you know do things that are productive to
Yes.
actually make them better. So many students of mine, all they do is go home and play video games. That's all they do.
Yes.
They don't have any foundation, no base to who they are.
Yeah.
And these kids are 10, 11, 12, 13
That's like the
years
prime
old.
age. You're a sponge
you know what I
taking
mean?
in everything.
And so that's the thing. It's like that right there leads them into high school,
Yeah.
and it just gets worse and worse as
Yeah.
they get older.
And we also have this. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Video games today, my opinion, a lot of them desensitize children to shooting,
Violence.
and killing,
Right.
and violence.
Right.
Yeah.
man.
And
I agree.
sometimes when there's a mass shooting or these mass things that happen and people ask why, and then you hear, oh, so-and-so did this and he was a video gamer. And I even know someone who left a job because part of the video game was going to allow you as the person holding
First
the
person
gun
shooter.
to kill children.
That's
He
wild.
said, I can't
That's
not
crazy.
design
Yeah.
a game that allows people to do that. So he walked away
Yeah.
from this very
lucrative
profitable
job.
He got a better job.
Man.
but he got a better job.
So,
because
yeah.
he stood by who he
You
was.
have like I really understand for that you have to put your money where your morals are. All money ain't good money.
Right.
Period.
Right.
I also think like for
Don't
me,
say so, Shemira.
huh?
I can't wait to sell out
All
to the
money ain't
Illuminati.
good.
I also like I
You
think
can sign
another
me up
part
right
of
now.
Johnny, stop it.
That's a fact. I can't wait to be in Illuminati.
that's why he got that people who pretend to be rich card. But
I'm with it.
huh?
You know how to edit this, right?
Yeah.
No, as soon as y'all hear this, call me. Right away.
Oh, they been listening.
Yeah.
For sure.
I am ready.
Johnny, you don't meet the requirements.
I also think a big part of that too is we publicize them because now in this day and age you
Right.
make money by being on social media by going viral.
Right.
We shouldn't be putting them on the news.
Exactly.
For sure, because then it becomes a game. Oh, they killed 10. Let me see if I can get 15 because they didn't do it right.
Especially
I
when
could
you're already
tot-
suffering from
right.
a mental illness.
I could do 30.
Right.
Like I think that you have
There's a
you
lot of
layers
things
on
that-
top of layers.
There's
Yes.
a lot of things that, as a society, if you did the opposite, you would get better results. Now, we may have been joking, kind of, sort of, but one night we were talking about how our current administration
What do you call them? Celebrity
No,
in
just
chief.
keep going.
disrespects
We're
some
not gonna acknowledge
people
it more.
in the news media and how rampant it is and some of the things that are said. And it was a joke, but very real. And I really, really contemplated like writing a book about it. My husband said, what if this administration held a press conference and nobody showed up?
Right.
Mhm.
That would be awesome.
That would be the most powerful,
When he tried to
most
kick over
powerful
the cussed out,
statement
For sure.
I said,
ever.
He can't do that.
Exactly.
Right.
He has no
Exactly.
authority to do that.
Right.
You know
So
I'm saying?
what
And
if-
Especially
Yeah.
after he freaking tried to ban old dude from CNN,
Right.
Yeah.
the journalist.
For
Do we
sure.
have a political podcast?
You at all.
Right.
We
Right.
have a
That's
political
what
podcast.
would
Show
happen?
go in right now?
We
Oh,
might.
you
What
gonna be
would
on, you gonna be on
happen?
Twitter for the rest of you know,
Right.
long
Yes.
term.
And
I was
Right.
just
Nobody
telling
showed up.
I was just
Right.
telling VJ the other day, like in the morning,
Yeah.
going to school, going to work,
'Cause we
I
ain't talking
listened to
about nothing.
CNN,
I do too.
and I said I feel like CNN is now my Real Housewives. I don't watch I don't watch Real
You got
Housewives
enough drama
because
enough.
it's just
Man.
like I can't. I don't
Yeah.
want to. It's just like too much crap. But I watch CNN. I'm like, I have to know what's going on. I have to know.
Yes.
And then in
Yeah.
my car, I'm just like going crazy, and I'm just like, what? This is stupid. And I'm like over here talking to myself
Let's
about
say
everything,
it
and I'm
is
just
B-
like,
BBC
why is
and
this the
BBC
new?
beat your babies.
Right.
Yes.
BBC, you gotta watch BBC.
BBC only because
Yeah.
they report on us unlike we report on them.
Right.
Right.
That's true.
That's a good point.
Well, you have to remember
That's a
that
good
the three major networks are owned by the same person.
Exactly.
So
So
here
they,
we go.
get to- they
right?
literally control what we hear
Yeah.
anyway.
That's
So
a
it's very
whole-
filtered.
It's a whole nother discussion.
Right.
Took
Right.
BBC and ran with it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's what they did. Vice News is like BBC on steroids.
Oh, Vice
Right,
News
right.
got the younger generation.
Right.
Mhm.
That's
Right.
their Bible. I watch the Vice News.
And
I like T. I would
and
and TYT
I have
Young
variety on
yeah,
Vice News.
Young
Young
Turks.
Turks,
I'll say it all
like
on
yeah, yeah.
recording.
Yeah.
I mean,
We
here's
can't talk about it on
Oh,
recording.
it's expensive.
I'll tell you my theory
my
on
thing
Vice
is,
News.
I feel
Yeah.
like
Oh,
I feel like technology is a gift and a curse
Yes.
right now.
Of course, yeah.
It's you know
Have another question.
it's scary to me because you know, I feel like we're so involved, we're so consumed, and I even had to pull myself away from it, you know, with the help of Cara, because she's not very involved in social media and things like that. But you know, I was for a long time, and I realized I was kind of getting dependent on it.
Yeah.
Like, wake up, check your phone, do this,
Yeah.
do that. And I feel like the younger generation, they don't have that same type of discipline or control to
They
do
didn't know a life outside of it.
right.
Mhm.
So you know, with everything, all the craziness that's going on in this day and age, and the fact that these kids are consumed by it, that's why you're seeing so many, you know, such a increase in suicide rates at a younger age.
Yeah,
that's why you're
crazy
seeing all these school shootings.
Like 9-year-old and
That's why-
suicide. Those like
I honestly, this is my theory, but I feel like social media is developing, is honestly creating mental illness among our younger adults.
Yeah, it is. It
Right.
definitely is.
Seriously.
Because if you don't know what's going on out you know what I'm saying, out there in the world, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So if you try to you know keep yourself away from it, you know, you feel like you're missing out.
Right, you feel like you're missing out. You want to
this
keep
happened,
up.
You know what I'm saying? Oh my God. And
You
people think
excluded.
you're insensitive.
Right.
Like, oh, I didn't know that happened.
Mhm.
People got killed yesterday. I didn't know.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's a blessing and a curse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Technology is.
I'm
It
gonna
is.
circle it all the way back around to
This
Prince.
is social media queen right here.
Children are not bad from the beginning. They only imitate their atmosphere.
Right.
And
Exactly.
their current, you know, it's the weirdest thing. Like I have,
Hit the nail on the coffin. I believe that.
I really feel like Tiffany needed to
Right.
have a
Look.
microphone.
Look, I believe
you think
that. I
children
believe
are
that
bad
to a really high extent.
So the one thing that I go through with Kai, which is really interesting, he's 16. The only social media he has is a Snapchat.
Right.
That gets on his nerve because he'll be in a bunch of groups and there's like something called streaks. So you're on it every day and you do stuff like you get points. It buys you nothing in life other than points on the thing. And no, it's not. So his phone will go off a lot. So he'll turn it off or log out. He has no other social media. Then when I asked him about like hanging out with his friends, like, why don't you go hang out with your friends? Oh, well, you took my phone from me. And I'm like, okay, well, what's the
they
big
gotta
deal?
do?
Like, they can call a house. He
Right.
says, my friends don't text or call. They Snapchat. So without his Snapchat, he's completely disconnected from all of his friends. But it sucks when he's on punishment for a month without his phone. And I'm like, I need you out the house. Like, you just ain't got your phone, but you gotta get out.
He feels helpless.
Yeah.
But no,
Yeah.
he's a good kid.
Yeah. So it's interesting, and and I only know one other kid like that. Like he was raised with his grandma, and he talks about, you know, why don't we write letters anymore? And I was like,
Well, I was
dang.
in a conversation where my boy is like, how many numbers you remember? Phone numbers.
None.
How many
Well,
phone
nah.
numbers?
I
I
can.
used to remember 7.
Yeah.
Right.
70.
Yeah.
At least
My
4,
grandmother,
3
my
people.
mom,
Yeah.
Better than
How
that.
many
Better
numbers
than
can
that.
you remember it right now?
Man,
None.
better than that. I get on Brittany for this so many times.
Okay.
I be like,
He got the
please,
praying
the
hands
blue
right now.
line, like stop following the blue line, like on
What?
maps. Like if you know what I mean, like
Oh,
you
yeah.
are addicted to the blue line. Like
Yeah.
yo,
Oh my God.
there's so
Yeah.
many streets you can turn down to get
Yes.
there faster. Like
For
you know what I
sure.
mean, like.
You don't
It
have to
really-
follow
I've done
the
that.
blue line.
Like I've had him. Like I've had Kai.
Really, like,
I've had Kai like zoom out so I can see.
That's the
Oh,
same
it's
thing,
traffic
though.
on
It's
this
the
street,
same
so we gonna go. This
Yeah.
street connects, so we gonna turn
Yeah,
and we
like-
gonna go down and go to another one. But that helped me get through New York too because my mom always taught me how to use a map, so that helped me understand the
if you're
subway
somewhere
system.
you don't know, yes. But
Yeah.
if you're going down the street or you trying to like, you gotta get rid of the blue line. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, it's like because it,
Well, first of all, LA is on the grid.
yeah.
Facts.
So it's not like Atlanta. If you going south, you might end up east. That's how Atlanta is, because Atlanta's a circle.
Oh, okay,
You know what
I
I'm saying?
see.
You
Yeah,
can't
yeah.
make a right and think you're going back south
Mhm.
in Atlanta. But LA California's on a grid.
Yeah.
So if you going south, you
You
make
going
a
south,
right.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You can go back south.
Yeah.
You can still come back to where you are. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, I think if you just in LA enough, like
Joanna fucking this one
you
up.
gotta remember at some point.
Yeah, like you know what I'm
Brittany,
saying?
you gotta remember, girl. Like you ain't gotta follow the
I
map.
thought, like earlier in the podcast, we were gonna say if you're gonna speak negatively on somebody,
Oh,
You
yeah.
ain't gonna say their names,
maybe,
Brittany.
like,
But you're in the
But you're here.
But
But you're here.
I'm not gonna talk about you when you're not here.
But you're here.
Okay.
No, no.
When I get there, and we're there, and that's all that matters. So.
Oh, you gonna get there because she driving like 100 miles per hour.
We
at
went-
35.
Hey, I will say that though. If you late for something, hey, she the best driver.
We went
Man,
through
I
that
done been late for some
yesterday.
shows, like I don't know if I'm gonna make it. She
Well,
be
he
like, "We gonna
driving
get there."
yesterday.
I get there ready, like with
Look.
time. I'm like, oh damn.
Nah,
We-
she said
I'm
meet
not
and greet
okay.
speed.
I done roll with Brittany.
I'm sorry.
I done roll with Brittany into Calabasas and was fearing for my life. So
Thank you. So listen, we leaving yesterday from the tournament. Wait, what happened?
That's what her name is saved under.
Speed Racer. He says he has you saved under Speed
I
Racer.
have all of your secrets. Every single one of you. I know little bitty like nuances.
That's great because I have no shame, honey.
Girl, as long as it's on topic.
You are dealing with people. You are dealing with people who have no shame up here.
That's what I was about to say. I'm like, what are you gonna say about me that I ain't said about myself?
Right.
Brittany like Nikki Barnes. You get mad and start snitching.
This is the no shame crew.
You get mad and start snitching.
For sure. Say
She
whatever,
ready
it'll
to
work.
tell on everybody.
Hey, look.
Dang.
As-
Brittany's the kind of person that you don't want to divorce without a prenup.
That's a fact.
I know all your secrets. I know where you stashed the money, so you better give me what I asked for.
I know where you stashed it because I stashed it.
Exactly.
Hey, but you know what?
Don't let this face fool you.
At the end of the day, it's all fun and games. But y'all know my character, okay? And I'm not like that.
You're not like what?
Right now.
Brittany's reasonable, you know what I mean? So
she
if
ain't
that is the case,
no.
if I stash your money and she know where it is, I know who took it. So
Right.
like, look,
Yeah,
look, Brittany,
no.
can I just have
But she
like,
probably
you know,
gonna
I
take
know you
it
mad
and
at
spend
me.
some on you and some on her, so
Let
it's
me
cool.
Brittany wouldn't sell nobody out. That's
Nah,
for sure. I know
nah.
that for a
Nah, but
fact.
she would, you know.
I feel like she just
wouldn't
got
sell
sensitive,
nobody
and we
out.
all gotta reassure you. We know you won't sell nobody out, but that was a
No.
really good line
You
at
as
that
loyal
moment.
as it comes.
Yes.
Don't call her phone more than 10 times.
she did try to kill us on our way to Thousand Oaks yesterday, and then got upset. First of all, we were talking about this guy's eyesight and the fact that he has 80-year-old eyeballs.
Yeah, I do.
But he drove us home
I got my
last night
context
with his 80-year-old eyeballs and no glasses. And Brittany was like, see, this is why you should have let me drive. But then she got upset that he was going like 45 or 50 in a 40-mile zone.
Antoine's a careful driver.
But he was going 45 or 50 in the 40 zone, and she was upset that he was going too slow.
No, the house that y'all was at, those roads back
Hey,
there. are
that's
dark.
what I'm saying.
Exactly.
The roads.
But she
leading up
was like,
to
oh, no,
that
I
house-
drive through here, no problem. And I was
Nah,
like,
you gotta
yeah,
be safe down there.
I will say,
But nobody died in your car.
she got it honest.
Yes. We know, miss, I'm going to drive from L.A. to Oakland in 4 hours.
Right, right.
I remember.
In my life that I decided I don't have to be anywhere like that anymore, and I'm gonna get there when I get there.
Yes.
So there will come a time
That
in
must
her
have been
life
recent.
Yes.
where she decides I don't have to drive.
I remember,
Right,
I remember
right.
you
I'm
coming.
like that now.
That's
and
how-
I'm
yeah.
like late.
I remember
That's
you
how-
coming up,
Yeah.
like
That's how
driving
this
up to
one
us
is.
though. And
Cara
you would have
def-
Brittany in the
definitely
back
drives
seat
like
with all
somebody's
her
grandma.
toys. And we'll be like, Mommy, what time did you leave? Oh, just like 3.5, 4 hours ago. How the fuck are you here?
My dad was so mad at me because it was a Thursday. I left at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and we watched the Cosby Show together, and that came on at 8.
Exactly.
It was this.
Yes.
Wait, how is that possible? That's rush hour.
I had
No.
tape of Prince songs. Believe it or not, we keep bringing this dude up.
I know.
And
He's the
I
greatest
put-
musician of all time.
In fact,
And then when you turned it over to the other side, it was like a half hour.
The
You
greatest
turned it to the
musician
other
of all
side, a half hour,
Facts,
And
facts.
it just happened. I flip, and I was there.
No, she would know. She would know because she would literally have her in the back seat with a whole bunch of
My parents
toys.
wanted to teach me to drive initially.
But
okay?
you drive exactly like your
I'm
mother,
also known
though.
for being a hothead. I already said it. We ain't gotta elaborate. Okay.
Why are you so defensive,
Okay?
Britt?
The point that I'm trying to make
Anybody
is
with the name
initially,
Britt is
neither of my parents wanted to teach me how to drive because of that part. Okay. And then there are some aspects where I did. I ended up teaching myself how to drive the freeway. There was just a day where I was like, I got tired of my friends talking smack about me not getting places in a certain amount of time, and I hopped on the freeway. So maybe that habit happened to come up because I needed to be somewhere.
I do know for a
maybe
fact
I
that
just
is the
started
only
saying, I
reason
guess
why
I
you're on
didn't
time.
do it.
Because you leave 15 minutes late for everything, but you always on time.
But then you drive 90 on the freeway.
Right.
Still late.
Oh,
Now
man.
she be there on time.
She has slowed down.
Except for today.
Except for today. Except for today.
She has definitely slowed down a lot since I first met her.
I'm not gonna lie. Once you have kids, you start slowing down real.
Nah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, with the kids in the
I
car.
used to think I was invincible.
I still am.
I'm still working on that. I just got a speeding
No, I
ticket
don't want
like a
people to
couple
slow
weeks
down
ago with my
and
kid in the
drive
car. I'm still
properly.
working on that. Literally, y'all think I'm playing? I just got my license back yesterday.
Well, I also witnessed you and
Oh
your
my God.
son
I'm still down here.
wrestling on the basketball court.
No, today is Saturday. I got my license at midnight on yesterday.
I also witnessed Shemira putting her son in a headlock.
The thoughts of Shemira, not Shemira,
On-
the thoughts of her.
on concrete. On concrete.
If she's
I know,
snitching
Dewana's
on
like,
herself about
it's
breaking the law, that's just her.
It's concrete. Shut up, Johnny. I heard that.
She gonna pay that ticket. Don't worry about it.
I am.
She
I'm definitely gonna pay
snitching
that
on
ticket.
herself on live on the air right
Yeah, nah. I mean, it already happened. I showed up at court, and for the first time ever, the cop showed up. So yeah, I know.
Don't you hate
And
when
the guy right behind me. It was so funny. Oh, we wrapping it up? No, hell no. No, I was speeding. Because if you go 10 miles over the speeding limit now, California will take your license for 7 days.
Wow.
7 days. No, 10.
They pulled you over for that?
Stand to 5. Yeah, 5 is okay.
Yeah, and he was nice. He wrote it down, but I was like, I don't want a ticket on my thing. So I'm gonna just plead not guilty and see if he shows up. Yeah, for 7 days. Took my license right there. The one time I shouldn't have been honest in my life. Yeah.
They put the hole in it, did they?
No. They just put it in a slide. And when I get back home, I got to go to the court system and take it. Okay. Or and pick it up. But yeah, it was very, very interesting because the person right behind me, his cop didn't show up. And this silly fool, he was like, and the judge says, okay, well, your officer isn't here, so it's dismissed. He says, but I got my evidence. And I'm filling out my paperwork and was like, no, shut up. He's not here. You don't have to say nothing.
Pay your $25 and go home.
You ain't gotta pay nothing.
It's dismissed.
You don't pay nothing.
You don't have to pay $25.
No, it's dismissed. It's their job to prove the case. So if they're not there to prove the case, but my officer didn't have a day off. He came in his uniform, so he got paid to be there. It's like, fuck.
One time I was
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, a couple years back, I still had to pay the $25, but that was for not having my tags.
Oh, well, that's different.
That's a fix-a ticket.
Yeah.
Fix-a ticket you always have to pay.
Yeah,
one time I was in I was in somebody else's car with no insurance, right? And nothing, like no insurance, no proof of insurance, nothing, right? So the cop didn't show up. He showed up I think he showed up late or something like that, right?
Don't matter.
So the judge goes, oh, well, I mean, if you didn't know it was insurance in the car, I mean, it's not your responsibility to have their insurance, right? I was like, yeah, I ain't insured. Yeah, I'm good. You know what I mean? And she was like, all right, well, the case is dismissed, right? The cop shows up and he's like, no, he's supposed to know who's insured, and somebody's supposed to be like a what do you call it? The
insurance driver.
Yeah, uninsured driver. You're supposed to have that on their insurance. And he told her that after she was like, well, I already dismissed.
Yeah, once she makes her verdict, that's it.
Right.
Yeah, the moment she makes her verdict, that was it.
Actually, sometimes you get lucky.
Yeah.
This
was
Officer
as many times as I've been. No joke. As many times as I've been pulled over, this was the very first time. So I just feel like the numbers, just the numbers weren't in my favor at that point. Huh?
How many times you been pulled over?
A lot, but I haven't been pulled over. No, but to be fair, I haven't been pulled over in the last 2 years. So that was my first ticket in 2 years. But yeah, so I wasn't even gonna complain. But before, I used to get pulled over a lot.
So can I?
Here's the first. Wait, let me tell you about one.
It depends on the car you drive. Because I used to get pulled over.
Let me.
a
Yes.
lot.
So let me tell you.
If you in a red or white car,
Let me tell you my worst.
Oh, you had one of those drug mule
No.
cars.
I used to have a Dodge Intrepid.
No, don't say it. 'Cause
That
then
was
people
the
gonna
first
say it.
car. Apparently, I had no idea.
That's what they
And now I
translate.
got
at an auction.
another part
Yeah.
of it. That was like, I don't
all
have
the
that car
time.
anymore, so it's cool. But the one time, so y'all know how I feel about police. The one time I actually had a decent experience. You couldn't even say that with a straight face.
Absolutely love the police.
They listen.
Yeah, Johnny, they listening. Y'all don't know. I mean, y'all know how I feel. It's cool. So, anyways, I get pulled over one time. Let me tell you how lucky I got when I got pulled over. So this is when we had just moved to where we're at now. I know. I just said where we're at now. So I was still commuting, taking Kai back to Oakland to go to school because I didn't want him to start in the middle of the school year. I was at Oakland already, so it's no big deal.
I'm from Oakland.
Hey.
Her address is 4426.
Yeet. So I got pulled over for being on my cell phone. And he pulls me over, and I'm like, fuck. So he comes in, he asks me for my driver's license. I usually, at this time, because I got pulled over so much, I used to keep multiple driver's licenses.
Damn.
So yeah.
How do you have more than one?
Again, the thoughts of Shemira, not Shemira.
Yeah, we ain't.
Any reference to breaking the law, her
ones.
opinions only.
So I pull out my driver's license and he goes, huh?
Yeah, they said Shemira. I don't know.
Yeah, they all said Shemira. They all said Shemira. They did, because I didn't need that kind of trouble in my life.
Dry snitching on us.
So this is all long enough, so it don't even matter, because the cop didn't show up, so none of it mattered. But he pulls me over. He's like, I pulled you over for being on your cell phone. I'm like, yeah, okay. He takes my driver's license. He's like, so where's your insurance? And I was like, about that? Ain't got none. And I'm like, okay. He's like, no worries. Let me just go to the car. Let me run it. So, you know, most people would just be like, all right, I'm going to get a ticket for not having insurance. I knew that wasn't the case for me. He comes back and he knocks on the window and he says, I'm going to need you to step out the car.
Ooh, that's it.
Yeah.
That's when you got to move real slow.
Yeah. I ain't going
No,
back.
no. They want you to reach your hand out the window and open the door.
My hand stayed on the steering wheel the whole time.
Right.
You can see, you ain't going to say that you seen me reaching at my waistband for a
Right.
seatbelt, you know, but you reached in at my waistband.
Right.
Nah. It's like this the whole time. So I get out and he's like, so you know you have a warrant? And I was like, no, because I really didn't. He said, you have a failure to appear for another ticket that I just didn't deal with. No, it is when you have a failure to appear.
It ain't.
It is, but it ain't.
And then he says, I need to also warn you that your registration is suspended. So I got a suspended license. I just had to happen to have a copy of it. I had suspended tags. I was on my cell phone, no insurance, and I had my kid in the car. When I tell you I got lucky, he said, I gotta take this driver's license. Gotta take this driver's license. He said, where are you going? I said, my son still goes to school in Oakland. He said, is there anybody that can take you? No, because I really didn't have nobody.
Right.
He says, I'm gonna need you to take him straight to school and go straight back home and drive the speed limit the whole way.
Wow.
Damn.
So why do you hate the cops? Oh my gosh, right? So why
We love the.
Didn't I tell you I just had a lucky experience?
I got my car
Hey,
taken
look.
from one of my
I
homeboys.
just had a
He was
lucky
cop. I was like,
experience.
I know you, dog.
I'm not. Look. Okay. So
I gotta take
I can't
Real
lie.
lucky.
Well, he just basically told you because you didn't know.
Yeah, my
so I
friend.
think to me
But he
that's
was-
the
his
responsible
trainer,
thing.
he
If
didn't
you
be
really
a
did
trainer.
not know all those things were happening, I feel like the
was like,
responsible thing
Right.
is to tell you,
Right.
yo, take care of your life because I will immediately take it away from you.
Yeah.
I feel that
So
should
he-
be something
I
you
mean,
should
look
take.
out for him.
That's what I said. I'm like, I had a
I think
lucky
she knew.
experience.
It's crazy though.
I didn't know I had a warrant. I knew I had a speeding ticket that I had to deal with, but I just let it. I
Right.
just wasn't. I put it somewhere and didn't
And
deal
he
with
I
it.
got off from working in Georgia on a Friday.
What?
Over at the Circle K, got a beer.
Oh.
I'm going home.
Right.
I get pulled over. You know, they don't care about beer in Georgia. You know what I'm saying? Beer ain't nothing. I got a revoked license.
Oh my goodness.
How the fuck do you get your license revoked?
They took the
My
whole
relatives
shit
used my
away.
name in California. I
Oh.
got my license and everything. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about revoked.
God
You know what I'm saying?
Revoked is a big word.
So that works.
The weekend is
So you could do that?
Not no more.
I'm talking about when
Not no
they
more.
They take the bus stepper and stab it through your face.
Oh my gosh.
Done.
Damn.
It's done. Right?
Sir.
Done.
Damn, like they got a hole in it so you can stick a whole key ring. You can now use your license as a key ring.
I'm not talking about suspended. I'm talking about revoked.
Damn.
And I'm just driving.
Damn.
He's like, dude, your shit's revoked. I'm like, what that mean?
He said that's a big word.
For real.
That's crazy.
As a you know what I'm saying, a citizen. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I can't lie though. I got pulled over about a month ago, maybe or a month or two ago, for unpaid registration. It was expired, and I'm not gonna lie. At
These
this
Oakland
point,
niggas always riding dirty.
Shut up. He from Vallejo.
you feel me?
from
All y'all
707.
pay
What's
niggas.
up?
If you get hyphy, you ride dirty.
510-707. Hey.
But I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, she had the original one.
Oh,
Hey, I still had that until I was in middle school. That's when they switched it.
These
Oh, time out.
face
Keep your story
niggas
for a
are
second.
bugging.
Just so y'all know, they changing the area code in our area again to
They gonna change-
326.
Yeah.
326.
I think there's
That's
two area
ugly.
codes. They're changing
Yeah,
it to.
it
It's
is.
crazy.
It's very ugly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
because
a
we have
nasty-
so many people moving into the Bay Area, they don't have enough. They
I'm
don't have
next.
enough numbers to go around.
510 is probably the dopest area code
I'm
out
next.
there, honestly.
Me and
And
Tiffany already
707
talked
is
about
dope.
it.
Okay, but
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I don't want to get too deep, but like too deep or dark. But like, when I got pulled over for, I knew what I was getting pulled over for.
We had fans this whole time.
But I can't lie, with everything that's happened over the last few years, when the cops came to my window, I was so nervous. And the thing is, like, I knew exactly what they pulled me over for. I knew my registration was expired. I knew that, you know, I've never done anything wrong. But the guys were the cops were super nice. Like they were really chill. And I think they was probably thinking like, what's wrong with this nigga? Like, why is he tripping so hard? But like there was a point where I had to reach for my registration and everything. And I thought to myself, I'm sitting there like kind of shaking a little bit, and I'm like, I asked him like, can I reach in there? He's like, yeah, go for it. And I'm like, damn, like it's crazy that it's got to that point.
Yeah,
you know.
agreed.
It's always been to that point.
Well, right,
Yeah.
right.
Right.
That's what I was gonna say. So I feel like
but now
it's
intensified.
expanded
Yeah.
because I mean I've been every time I've been pulled over is because I've been stereotyped.
Yes.
You know. It's just something that I've been used to. I've
My
only
dad's
got
been pulled
one
over so many
ticket
times
where it was
because of the car he was
justified.
driving and his music was loud.
Right. I got one speeding ticket and I was going 75 miles, but I had
On the freeway.
ran on the freeway, but I had just so happened to go through a construction zone, so the speed came down.
got it.
And so you know, but other than outside of that, every time I've been pulled over was for just being black in a in a
You
decent
know what you
car.
should do though? You should use your mom's maiden name on your license. Nobody's ever been pulled over for driving while Indian.
Indian, right?
Hey, then you gonna have to deal with Border Patrol.
Oh, tell me why. Tell me why. When it comes
We don't
to
know
getting,
where he's from.
so you know when you go to the airport, right?
Is this nigga's last name Zimbabwe?
That's a whole other
What is this
conversation.
nigga's last name?
So you know when you go.
Wait,
to,
hold on.
Check this out. Listen.
Wait, hold on just for a second. We're going to pick this up again, but I know I'm going to have to edit this. So right now we're going to end it, and then we'll pick it back up. So I just want to thank everybody for listening. I really want to thank, first of all, Anton for hooking up this whole studio thing.
Who the fuck is Anton?
He talked to his Uncle Speedy, and they let us use the Rollout Studios for our podcast. So I'm really excited about having this moment, and I really want to thank you for that, and thank your family for that. So I just definitely want to definitely make sure that that's said beforehand. So at this point, we're gonna end it, but we're gonna bring it back on VJ's nationality and his TSA experiences. Keep it rolling. That was funny though.